So in the last lecture, we have studied about the theory of insurance. So the idea was that if individuals are risk averse, then they have an incentive to buy an insurance. And if the market is perfect and every information is known, then we will have actuarially fair insurance, and everybody must be fully insured. And then we have seen cases where the insurance market fails, right? So there were three cases. One is the adverse selection, right? So when the insurer cannot know the exact type of the insured, so if there are high risk type or low risk type, then if the insurer doesn't know which type the insured is, then there may be no equilibrium in the market. Okay? No pooling equilibrium, nor the separating equilibrium, so the market may not exist, okay, for that particular case. And then second one, we have looked at correlated risks. So basically the idea of insurance business is to spread risk, okay, among many individuals with independent probability of getting in trouble. Okay? But if the risks are correlated, which means that if that happens, then it will happen to a group of people, okay, at the same time. And if that's the case, then it is possible that the insurance company would not sell the insurance for that kind of case. So we have seen the examples, for example, that there is not many insurance companies actually sell the insurance for, let's say, earthquakes, flooding, war, and that kind of stuff. Okay? Okay? And then third one, we have seen the motor hazard. So motor hazard is the case where that insured changes their behavior when they are insured, because they now are covered for the damage, so they may act carelessly. Okay? So that is the case. The third one, for example, we have seen the cases, for example, in one of the well-known cases is, for example, like a health insurance. If the insured person is covered for their medical cost, then it often leads the insured to use the medical service more often than when the case that they had no insurance. Okay, so there is a third case. Is if the motor hazard problem is quite severe, then obviously the insurance company will lose money because their calculation of the risk will be quite different. They basically underestimate the probability of paying out. So they will charge more, or if it is not possible, they will just simply stop selling insurance for that kind of case. Okay? Or they may have some provisions we talked about. For example, like co-payment, like deductibles, and some contract that reduces the insured company's liability if something happens due to the insured's action. So those are the cases that insurance market fails. So cases for social insurance basically based on the idea that social insurance can correct the problems of insurance market failure, or they try to address the problem caused by this insurance market failure. So one we talked about, so social insurance are compulsory. Compulsory is quite important, actually. So people cannot choose to be insured or not to be insured. They have to be insured. It basically eliminates the problem of, in the sense, the adverse selection. There is no selection. Okay, so no matter what your type is, okay, you should be insured. Okay? So that is the case. And second, and also because it is compulsory, so it will cover many more number of people than a private insurance company can. So that basically means that the risk is spread over much more number of people. And then it is contributory because the insurance, okay, the idea of social insurance is, it's like an insurance program. So you have to pay for the insurance to be covered, okay? So it can address the issue of correlated risks because the social insurance can extend the insurance pool and spread the risk better than private insurers, okay? So for example, like even if the unemployment happens, okay, unemployment happens to, let's say, 5% of the people, okay, that if everyone is paying for the insurance premium, basically they can use 95% people, so they don't have to pay to the 95% of their clients, only 5% of their clients. Okay? So they can actually insure better. They can basically spread the risk better. Spreading risk is quite important for insurance companies. Okay? Second, the missing private insurance market. So like to potential high-risk individuals, basically it's basically the adverse selection issue comes to here. What happens is that when there is a high-risk type and low-risk type, and if the high-risk type can be actually, known, then insurance companies have it's a strong motivation to deny insurance coverage to high-risk types, or they may charge a lot of money to high-risk types. So effectively, high-risk type cannot have the insurance. So we talked about, for example, like health insurance. So if you have like a previous history of serious illness or congenital problems that you are born with, let's say, heart problems or something, you are disabled, okay, then insurance company obviously know that you have such problems because they will actually ask you the medical history. Okay? So if you lie on the medical history, actually they will not cover your cost even if you need the money. Okay? So that medical history can be actually quite well known to insurance companies. They have a strong incentive to deny coverage to those people with serious medical history. Okay? That is a problem in the private market. So when we make the health insurance public and they make it compulsory, then we can actually give coverage to those high-risk individuals. In a way, that low-risk individuals actually subsidize the high-risk individuals. Okay. Why? Because low-risk individuals, they use the service less often than high-risk individuals. Okay. But quite often, they pay actually the same premium or even higher premium. So if that's the case, okay, in a sense, that high-risk individuals, low-risk individuals subsidize high-risk individuals. So quite often, actually social insurance, we will see later, the premium is like a means-based. For example, in Korea, health insurance premium does not depend on your previous medical history or anything. It actually depends on your income. Okay. If it's an insurance, it's a private insurance. Private insurance premium usually depend on your history and the coverage you choose. History meaning that, for example, like you had like an accident for the past 5 years or something. Then you will pay higher premium, okay? Only because that you had an accident, so it means that you are likely to be a high-risk individual, so we will charge you more. Or if you choose, let's say, more expensive coverage, then you will be charged more. It does not care that whether you are rich or poor, okay? But in health insurance in Korea's system, it does not based on your medical history or anything. It is based only on your income, pretty much. Okay? So in the sense that social insurance, in some cases, actually works as like an income equalizing device. Okay? It's like a tax. That is okay. We will talk about those aspects later when we see these specific programs. So missing private insurance market, basically the government create insurance market for those programs. And then myopia. Okay, myopia is that, well, the idea is that it's usually we use that argument for the old age insurance. People are very nearsighted. Myopia just means nearsightedness. Okay, so you cannot see the things that are farther away. You can see well the things that only just close to you. That's myopia. Okay, so myopic behavior in economics usually means that people behave in thinking about only the present time or only the near future, but they do not think about the future farther away. Then we say that these people are myopic. Okay? So consumers often discount the future very heavily, and then they tend to get underinsured, okay, for their distant future. For example, if you're young, and then young people tend to be discounting the future very heavy, meaning that they do not care much about, for example, that your economic security, while you are, let's say, 60, 70 years old. So if you're 20, let's say it's 40 years later, 50 years later, you don't think about it much. Okay, you think, for example, well, things are gonna be okay. Okay, although you are not sure how it's gonna be okay, but it seems like okay, it's gonna be okay. So you don't, let's say, don't do anything to save for your, let's say, 60 or 70 years old life. Okay, so if that happens to everyone, then let's say nobody will be well prepared for their life after, let's say, retirement. Then we will have very serious issue of poverty among the elderly population. Okay. Actually, it's going to be a serious. I mean, some people actually expect that poverty among elderly is going to be a very serious issue in our country, actually in the very near future, because our elderly is actually quite poor. So that is the issue that we are talking about myopia. So consumers often discount the future very heavily and get underinsured, so they do not save much. Okay? They don't invest for their future in the distant. So if they could force it, if they knew that what's going to happen in the future, then they would act differently. But if they are left alone, they don't do anything. So what compulsory insurance market does, basically makes people to buy insurance. Okay, the individuals do not want on their own. Obviously, for example, the old age insurance, for example, it's actually there are lots of private market for old age insurance. You can buy, the pension plans from banks or from insurance companies. Actually, you can save for yourself actually in banks, or you can invest. So there are actually many private ways of dealing with old age economic security issues. Actually, lots of people actually quite often do invest or save for their future. But a lot of times, okay, majority of people don't do anything. So in a way, it's this old age insurance in Korea or in many other countries is not necessarily from the market failure issue. Okay, it's from myopia. They're just behavior that they just ignore it. So in a way, social insurance tries to force people to do it. Okay. Because from social point of view, if we have large number of poor elderlies, okay, it's gonna be a big problem for the government, for the society, and so that it's good. It's important to be ready for those problems well in advance. So as you can see, that social insurance can actually do lots of things. So it's no wonder that social insurance exists. Right? Even though that they are maybe different from country to country, but usually most of the developed countries have social insurance system, and then they are in a way quite similar, because they start with very similar ideas. Okay, so that's what we're gonna think. Actually, if you see that, there is one thing that is not there, which is moral hazard. Okay, actually, social insurance does not solve moral hazard problem. Just think about it. Now, if you think about moral hazard problem, one way of moral hazard problem you can think it's quite easily is, for example, like when you have health insurance, you will visit your doctors much more often than otherwise. Or if you have an insurance for your old age, people tend to save less on themselves. Okay? So we will talk about it later. So those kind of things you can just think about as the example of moral hazard. Okay? So moral hazard issue is not something that private or public insurance can handle quite easily. Okay, any questions? Okay, so let's see the Korea's social insurance system. Korea's insurance social system is quadripartite, which means basically consists of 4 things. Okay, so you must have heard these 4 insurance system, 4 kinds of insurance system. Quite often, one is employment insurance. The other one is industrial accident and compensation insurance. Those 2 insurance are mostly for the working individuals. Okay, so employment insurance, in short, it's the most important one among the insurance. Employment insurance is the insurance for the case of unemployment insurance. If you lose your job, then you will be paid some money out of this. And this one, industrial accident compensation insurance, is the one that when you are injured or get sick doing your work, then you will be covered for example, medical costs and living expenses. Okay, that's the second type. Okay. Third one, so these 2 are mostly for working individuals, and this is much more general. Okay. National pension, as you see, that is old age insurance. You contribute your money to this pension, okay, and when you are old enough, okay, then you will be paid monthly pensions out of this money. Okay, and then fourth one is national health insurance. Okay, national health insurance covers medical costs. Okay, when you visit your doctors or hospital. So these 4 insurance system it's a Korean social insurance system, and most countries, a lot of countries have these 4 insurance systems. Okay, except for national health insurance. National health insurance, for example, U.S. has no national health insurance for everyone, but it has national health insurance for the elderly. Okay, now what they are trying to create some form of national health insurance. Yeah, but because of today's presidential election result, okay, it may not happen. Okay, in the U.S. But anyway, so national health insurance. But when you see the European countries, most of European countries do have national health insurance. Okay, we will talk about it much more detail about this. Each of these systems later. So I will just give you the overall picture here. Okay, so how big the insurance is. Okay, but just in terms of money. The biggest one is national health insurance. Okay, it's one way it's because it is old and it is compulsory to every citizen in this country. Okay. So in 2015, they collected 50 trillion won, and they paid out about 45 trillion won. Okay. So this is the biggest system in terms of money they collect and spend. So 50 trillion won program. And second one is a national pension. National pension collected last year 35 trillion won and paid out 15 trillion won. Okay. So as I said, these two insurance must be big because it covers basically general public. And then the first two ones I said, it covers only for those employed, working people. Okay, it covers mostly the person working for somebody else, the employed person. The self-employed may be in or may be out. Okay, so self-employed is not included much, mostly the employed individuals. So employment insurance, they collected 8 trillion won and then paid out about the same. Okay. And then industrial accident compensation insurance, they collected about 6 trillion won, they paid 4 trillion won. So you can see that these are very big programs, these are relatively small programs. Okay. And now you see that national pension has actually huge surplus. Right? 35 trillion won, 15 trillion. They have like a 20 trillion won surplus. Okay. It seems like probably we are collecting too much, but when we project the Korean population for the future, okay, we see that the elderly population going to be bigger and bigger. So this surplus going to change to deficit actually. They project some year, I cannot remember, 2050 or something. So in the near future, well, when you are, I think, about to retire, they will run out the money. If we follow the current projection, when you are about to retire, they will starting to have deficits. Okay? It's going to be a big problem. It's far in the future. Okay, so people do not pay much attention much now, but it is going to be a problem. It has been a problem for many countries actually, for more advanced countries that had longer history. National health insurance is about breaking even. Actually, it depends. I mean, usually, I think it usually have a surplus most of the times. Okay. Now, this one is also a problem because our elderly population gets greater and greater. You will see later that most of the money they pay out from national insurance goes to elderly population. So when you have more elderly people, you will see this red bar gonna go up. And when you have smaller number of younger people, you will see this bar to go down. Okay? And then it is gonna have deficits also. So when you see the social insurance, okay, in 10 to 20 years, the social insurance system gonna be under a lot of stress actually in Korea. So it's gonna be a big issue. Not right now, but gonna be a big issue quite in the near future while you are actively working or you are approaching retirement. Okay, I'm sorry about that. It's gonna be a problem. So that's the issue that probably that should be dealt with public finance people. Okay, so we have seen the overall picture. The money that they collect is not every dollar or not every one of 50 trillion is not the insurance premium. Actually, what usually they get is the insurance premium plus some subsidy from general tax revenue. Okay? So it's not exactly equal to the premium plus some subsidies. We will see later. Okay, and over time, this is percentage of GDP. So in Korea's case, let's say in 1980s, it was basically there was no social insurance pretty much. Okay. So there was nothing, basically. Okay. And then as time goes on, we started to have more and more insurance system. Actually, it got much bigger when we enter like 2000s. Okay. So now total contributions is about 7% of the total GDP, and then expenditure is about 10% of total GDP. So over time, it has been increasing. Okay. It's been stabilized, in the recent years, pretty much because that our social insurance system is pretty much set. Okay, it doesn't change much, the system itself. So obviously, we are just set in the system, so it's quite stable nowadays. Okay, so this we have seen that these numbers have been increasing, not surprisingly. But if we compare to other countries, how big our program is. Our program is actually quite small. Okay. So this is 2014, but there are some other years, OECD average 2013 and 2011 for Japan. So what is the Social Security contribution? Social Security contribution is like a social insurance contributions. And OECD average is about 10%, it seems. Okay, about a little less than 10%. Korea, I said about 7%, right? So it's below the OECD average. Okay, so we are close to USA or UK level in terms of Social Security contribution. So USA, UK, and Korea are actually they don't collect much and they don't pay out much, okay, except for UK. Okay, USA now that how much they tax revenue? Tax revenue, Korea's tax is about less than 20%. Okay, that is lower than the OECD average. OECD average is probably about 25%. Okay, so we pay smaller contribution, we pay smaller tax. When you look at other countries, most of the European countries collect much more tax. Okay, Spain, Italy, Germany, all 20% more. France, Denmark has very high tax rate. It's because the Denmark collects the Social Security contribution as a part of tax. That's why their tax is pretty high. Okay? So Social Security contribution in Denmark is basically included into tax. In most countries, it's separated. So that's why the Denmark collects a lot of tax, more than 50%. So if you make $1 in Denmark, you will pay 50 cents as tax. So you will have only 50 cents in your pocket. In Korea, probably when we add them up, it's probably 21, 23%. So when you make $1 in Korea, in your pocket you have about 70 something, 76, 77 cents. In Denmark, you have 49 cents, 48 cents in your pocket. Okay, so USA, similar to Korea, UK, also the bigger. Now, and when you look at the public social expenditure, Korea's case, a little more than 10%. We have seen it in the previous diagram. OECD, about double, more than 20%. And Italy, like 30%, France, Germany, higher. Denmark, about 30%. Okay. So, what does it tell us? Korea collects less, pays less. Okay. And a lot of countries collect a lot, collect more, and pays more. I mean, that should be natural. They collect more, they should pay more. Okay. Or the other way around. You pay more, you get more. To get more, you have to pay more. Okay, so no, actually, so the idea about what to do is depends on what graph you look at. If you look at the public social expenditure graph, it seems like Korea is paying too much, too little. So you may make an argument that you have to increase the payment. But when you look at the red graph, basically the other countries collect too much tax. Okay, so there's always trade-off. You want more, you pay more. Okay, the money does not come from the sky. Okay, for a certain period of time. It can, but obviously that you have to pay back all the money, you or your future generations. Okay, so overall, the picture is that over time, Korea's social insurance program or social program has increased. So now the Koreans pay more and get more, but when you look at the international picture, the Korea still runs quite small social insurance programs. Okay, so now let's move on to look at more specific programs. Then we start from the unemployment insurance first. Okay, so unemployment insurance, as I said, is a part of the employment insurance. Okay, contents, I will just skip this. Okay, Korea's employment insurance. So when we talk about unemployment insurance, actually we have to talk about employment insurance in Korea. So in Korea, it's 고용보험. You must have heard about it. And most of you, when you get a job, you will be automatically covered by this insurance. Not everyone, but most of you. Okay, so employment insurance benefits. When you have this insurance, when you are covered, then you can expect these type of benefits. One is biggest one is unemployment insurance benefit, and there are actually other things like a subsidy for job training. So when you get training, your employer or yourself may get the subsidy from this employment insurance. A maternity leave benefit. Okay, if the female employee have a child, and then when they take a maternity leave, okay, and then some of the benefits actually come from the employment insurance to the employer. I think it's a paternity leave also you can possible. So father can take a leave, okay, when his wife has a baby, and then paternity leave also some benefits from this employment insurance. Okay, and the family leave for workers with children younger than 7. So when you have a child younger than 7, you can actually take a family leave, okay, for a while. And family leave also that you get some money while you are on leave, not working. Okay, so that benefit also comes from employment insurance benefits. And subsidy for employers of insured workers. So employment insurance benefit, the biggest one, unemployment insurance, there are miscellaneous things, okay, coming with employment insurance. So that's why we call this employment insurance, not unemployment insurance, because it has miscellaneous benefits related with like employed individuals. We will, in our class, we will look at basically for this one, unemployment insurance. Okay, so the premium. Okay, the premiums for benefits other than the unemployment insurance are paid by the employer only. Okay, we'll talk about unemployment insurance later. So who pays for the premium? The idea is that employer and employees share the premium. Okay, but the employer side is actually bigger, because they pay for all these benefits. It's small, but they pay for all these benefits. The premium amount depends on the size and the industry. Okay? If your company is big, generally you have to pay higher percentage. Okay, the coverage is mandated to all employees since October 1998. Okay, so you have seen that Korea's social insurance program has increased. Okay, especially when past year 2000, because a lot of programs actually kind of got bigger just before year 2000. So since October 1998, mandated all employees except there are exceptions. Newly hired 65 years old or older workers. Okay, so if you are hired but you are 65 years or old, then you don't have unemployment insurance benefit. Second is that most employees working for less than 60 hours per month. So very short time work. Per month, 60 hours, which means what? Per week, about 15 hours. So if you work less than 15 hours per week, you are exempt from the insurance coverage of employment insurance. It actually has some downside. The thing is that nowadays some people, actually some employer offer jobs for less than 15 hours per week, mainly because they want to avoid paying employment insurance premiums. So sometimes this is a problem. I think this issue gonna be discussed actually quite in the quite near future, okay? Because working for less than 15 hours, they are not covered for anything. Public employees, if you are a public, let's say, government employees, you don't have employment insurance. Okay. Private school employees, like myself, I don't have employment insurance. And postal office employees, they don't have insurance. So that's why I said that most of you, not all of you, will be covered by employment. So if you become a public employee or private school teacher or professor or whatever, or you work for postal office, you don't have employment insurance. Okay? And also your pension plan will be different. You will see later. Okay, now there are some opt-in cases. It's not mandatory, but some people can choose to be insured under this program. So domestic service industry, okay, and small establishments in farming, forestry, fishery, construction, and building maintenance industries. They are not mandatorily covered, but they can opt in for the coverage. Okay? So, in principle, except for the small number of these employees, every employee should be covered under the employment insurance. So what happens is that when you get a job, your employer will report to the employment insurance office saying that you are hired. Okay? Then you will be on the system of employment insurance system. Okay? So while you are maintaining your jobs, you will be in their database. Okay? When you lose your job or when you change your job, then your employment insurance is gonna stop because you stopped working. When you get a job again, then the coverage will start again. Okay? So they have this reporting system. Okay? So it's done automatically, okay? by the employer. Okay, so number of insured and percentage insured, as you can see that it has been increasing over time. Okay, more and more people are being insured. Now it's about 12 million people. So 12 million people are in the system. Okay. So the percentage of insured among employees, it's about 65%. So it excludes, for example, like private, the school teachers and public employees and those people and those who work for this exempt programs. And there are people who just simply not covered illegally. They should be covered, but they are not, don't get coverage. Okay. There's some people that includes like those who work for less than 15 hours a week. Okay. So it's a pretty big program. Okay, and then it has been increasing over time. And then financing said that, okay, this is the unemployment insurance part. So unemployment insurance is the biggest one. So revenue is unemployment insurance was about 6 trillion won. Others like a 2.5 trillion won. And payout expenditure is unemployment insurance benefit. Actually, benefit plus some costs of running the insurance. It's about 5 trillion won. Okay. And 2 trillion won. So in total, like 7 trillion won. No, 7 trillion won. Okay. So it's a big program. Okay, now let's talk about unemployment insurance. What are the general features of unemployment insurance? Not only in Korea, Okay, in most countries, unemployment insurance is designed to be two things: temporary, not permanent. Okay, and in case of involuntary job loss, which means most of the insurance programs, actually every unemployment insurance program in any country has expiration date. They do not pay you the money forever. Okay? It may be long, it may be short, but they have expiration date. So I will show you the Korea's expiration date later, which is actually short part, but short ones. But it's a temporary. Okay. So the idea is that while you are getting the benefit, you should try to get your job and get a job and get out of this unemployment insurance benefit role. Okay. Yeah, it's temporary and encourage you and then basically subsidize your living while you are searching for your job. It's not subsidy for your living while you are unemployed forever. Okay. And it should be involuntary job loss. Why? Because if it's not involuntary, then people can actually use the unemployment insurance benefit as some type of like a vacation money. Okay? Okay. Oh, I want to have a travel. Okay, I don't want to work. So, okay, I quit this job and then get benefit for a while and live on it. And then, when time comes, I will just become employed again. Okay? That's not the case. Obviously, it's a moral hazard issue, if you think about it. When you have unemployment insurance, and if there is no way of knowing that who's involuntarily lost or voluntarily quit their job, obviously it's going to be abused. Okay? So in any country, it should cover only involuntary job loss. It's like accident. It's like a car. You didn't expect it, but it just happened. For example, like because the employer actually, let's say, was losing money, so they shut down the company, or they laid you off. Okay, those kind of things. Or something happened. Let's say there was a flood, so the factory closed down for, let's say, for a period of time, for a few months. So then it's unexpected, unforeseen involuntary job loss. So you will be covered. Okay. But simply that you just quit your job because you don't like your boss, it doesn't cover you in principle, actually. So when you lose your job and when you apply for unemployment insurance benefit, you have to show that you are involuntarily laid off. You lost your job involuntarily. So usually you have to get a statement from your employer saying that, okay, this guy lost his job, it was not like voluntary. Okay. Now there is a big issue that in lots of cases that employer just writes down that way, even though it was voluntary job loss. So there is quite a lot of discussion about it because it's in principle it's actually insurance fraud. Okay, insurance fraud. The insurance fraud. Insurance fraud is a big. Actually, it's a crime. For example, like when you have a car insurance, some people actually, deliberately damage their car to get the insurance money. So that's insurance fraud. Actually, you will be jailed if you are defrauding your insurance company. It's the same, actually. In unemployment insurance case, actually, if you are caught of collecting the money illegally, actually, you have to pay back, obviously, all the money. Okay, and then your insurance benefit will be denied for let's say, even if you are unemployed for, let's say, six months, okay, 5 months, okay, and you don't get anything, and then you will have to pay a fine. So those kind of things. Okay, so there is a penalty, but there is a big problem in Korea that it seems like everybody seems to be getting away with this. So there is a problem. Anyway, so in principle, it should cover that. Okay, so the premium, both the worker and the employer pay. Okay, they share the premium. and those who have not contributed are ineligible. Okay, which means you guys, you graduate or you are looking for a job, let's say. Okay, when you are searching for a job, you are basically unemployed, right? You have no job, you are searching for a job, but you cannot get unemployment insurance benefit. Why? Simply because you did not pay anything into unemployment insurance. Okay? So to get unemployment insurance benefit, there are eligibility conditions. I will show you later. Okay? So you don't get anything. Usually the first time job seekers don't get any benefit. Okay, so some countries have unemployment allowance. So unemployment allowance is not contributory, meaning that unemployment insurance allowance can be received by first-time job seekers. It's like it's similar to welfare benefit for those who are looking for jobs. Okay? So some countries have this with UI benefit or in place of UI benefit. So there are actually have been some arguments saying that we should have unemployment allowance as well, not only the insurance. So mostly for, let's say, young people or those people who are long-term unemployed, so they become ineligible for unemployment insurance benefit. You don't pay for the unemployment insurance, employment insurance for a while, then you will lose the coverage. Okay? So those people, don't have any job, have any money while they are looking for jobs. So we need some type of allowance. Okay, there has been some argument about it. Okay. Okay, so I just said you quit the job, you cannot claim the benefit. Okay. To keep eligibility, okay, beneficiaries are required to show proof of job search activities. Okay, that means that if you become beneficiary of unemployment insurance, what you should do is that I think at least once a month, you have to prove that you are looking for a job. Okay. You are not enjoying your vacation, you should be looking for a job. Okay? So that is the requirement to continue receiving benefits. For example, like you have to show the proof that, okay, I applied for this job and that job, I went to interviews to get a job and that kind of things. Okay? And so you need to do that. Obviously, it's pretty easy to show the proof. Okay, so it seems like I will show you later why I said. And there is quite an episode about this. The thing is that you have to show the proof of job search activities. So quite often the unemployed people send applications not because they want their job, but because to use it as the proof of job search activities. So some companies, like especially the small companies, complain about this because they get applications, but obviously they are not interested in actually getting the job in your company. So when they are contacted, they often say, okay, I just did it to claim the benefit. Okay. So that is actually, there's lots of complaints from small companies. Yeah. So obviously, it's pretty easy to show the proof. Okay, beneficiaries maybe in some countries may be required to participate in training or job counseling programs. So not only they pay out money, but basically they kind of run a program to encourage the beneficiaries to get a job early. Like they kind of have counselings that they teach you how to get a job and teach you how to do interviews and those kind of things. And they also often, quite countries, including Korea, pay you when you actually have to travel to other places, faraway places to get an interview. Let's say you have an interview in Busan, right? So then you need money to travel to that place and then stay there. so you need extra money. Actually, they pay you. Okay, it's not a lot. I don't think it's a lot, but still, they pay you. So that's actually quite common practice in many countries. Okay, so benefits, as I said, expire after a certain number of periods. So Korea's case, it's a part of employment insurance. Premium is 1.3% of the wage. So 1/2 of 1.3% paid by the worker and the other by the employer. Okay. So when you get a job, you collect your salary, and some of the salaries will be pre-deducted. One of the item is unemployment insurance premium. That is 0.75% of your wage. Okay. Gonna be used to pay for the unemployment insurance premium. Okay, the premium is not experience rated, which means that experience rated in insurance term is when you have a certain history, then your insurance premium will be adjusted. So for example, car insurance, when I had the accident, my insurance premium will go up. That's experience rated. So experience rated insurance, unemployment insurance, for example, is, let's say there is a company. That this company has claimed unemployment insurance benefit for the, let's say, past 2 or 3 years. Then their premium will go up. Okay, you have a history of, laying off people. So you must be a, you can say the high risk type. So you pay higher premium. Okay? So that is experience rated. In Korea, it's not experience rated. Okay? Meaning that regardless whether your company had lots of people who claim the insurance benefit in the past, you still pay the same premium. Okay? The premium is not experience rated for individuals. It's usually experience rated for company employers. So if the employer just keep using the unemployment insurance premium, it goes. In some countries, for example, U.S., it is experience rated. Okay, it goes up. Actually, in a way, we should think about it, right? For example, like I talked about insurance fraud. Let's say some companies like often gives their employees those who voluntarily quit, gave them letters that this person was involuntarily unemployed, and then if it is experience rated, obviously the employer has less incentive to do so because their premium will go up. Okay. Or in some cases, actually the companies actually can lay off people, saying that it's okay because you will get your unemployment insurance premium. So some companies actually will use the unemployment insurance premium, okay, and then just lay off people more easily, because then the employees will be less resistant because they have money when they are unemployed. Okay? So that kind of case is actually a risk of unemployment insurance. So experience rating may not be just a bad idea. Okay, so in order to receive the benefit in Korea, the job seeker should have paid the premium for no less than 180 days within 18 months before the job loss. Which means that when you lose the job, then for the past 18 months, 1.5 years, you should have paid at least 6 months of premium. Okay? So for example, like you were employed only for 5 months, then you lose your job, you don't get any benefit. Okay? You should have paid for the premium at least 6 months. Okay? So those who get the job and keep the job only for a short while and lose their job, they cannot get the benefit. The job loss should be involuntary, as I said, show the evidence of job search. I talked about it. So this is quite important one, that you should have the premium, paid for premium for 6 months at least. Okay, the main benefit is set to be 50% of the average wage before the job loss with a cap. There is a cap. So cap changes every year pretty much. in 2015 it was 43,000 won a day. Okay, so it's 50%. For example, like if your wage was, let's say, per day, let's say 50,000 won, then you will get 25,000 won as the benefit. But if your wage was 100,000 won, then you don't get 50,000 won, you will get only 43,000 because it goes above the maximum. Now, easily you can see that if you're a highly paid worker, your insurance premium relative to your wage before you lose your job gonna be smaller, right? Because it's gonna be capped at 43,000 won. But if you're a low paid worker, then your insurance benefit gonna be, larger relative to the, let's say, higher paid people. Because there is a minimum. Minimum is 90% of the minimum wage of 8 hours. Okay? So even if your wage is very low, you will still get 90% of the minimum wage of 8 hours. So 6,001 is about 6,001, right? So 5,400 times 8, what is it? 40 something, right? Okay, got it? Now the thing is, it's funny thing is now what happens in now, this number is very close to this number. Or actually, this number may be bigger than this number. Okay, so that is a problem actually in Korea. I belong to a committee of the employment insurance government committee, like a small committee. So I go to their meetings a few times, and this is one issue they talk about. Like now, this basically it's gonna be this minimum gonna be bigger than the maximum. Okay. So we have to either lower the minimum or increase the maximum. Okay. Anyway, that is an interesting issue. So most of the people will get around maximum. Okay. Unless so even if you won like 50,000 won, you will still get 43,000 won. That's pretty good money if you think about it. Okay, to keep the benefits, job search activities, applications, and job interviews every 1 to 4 weeks. Okay, the expiration. It expires after 3 to 8 months, depending on the beneficiary's age at the time of job loss and contribution history. So this is the maximum days. Okay, so first it depends on your age. Basically, when you're older, your expiration date is later. So you can get the benefit for longer period of time when you are older. So if you're under 30, say you get a job, and I hope it doesn't happen. Let's say after a year or something, you lose your job. And then what you get is the maximum, if you're under 30, let's say it's about 90 days. Right? 3 months only. And then number of years insured, so that when you claim it, how many years you have been insured. Less than a year, it's only 90 days. And then if you have been insured for longer years, then you will get higher benefit. Okay? So that means if you are 30 to 49, maximum 210 days. About 7 months. If you're 50 or older, you will get for about 8 months. Okay? So in Korea's case, the longest the duration that you can get the benefit is for 8 months. After 8 months, it will expire. Okay? Or 6, 7, 8 months. Okay? The shortest is 3 months. It's short actually. In some countries, it pays for more than a year or 2 years, multiple years sometimes. Job seekers may get additional benefits. For you, as I said, that in job training or job seekers with special family needs may get benefit for extended period. And assistance, as I said, transportation and lodging, you may claim the benefit for it. And there's an interesting clause here, which is actually quite important. If you are re-employed early, if you're re-employed quickly, and you will get additional money. Okay? So those who are re-employed within half of the maximum unemployment insurance benefit duration. Let's say if you are here, let's say 30 to 49, your maximum duration is 210 days. But let's say you get a job before the half of the expiration. So let's say before 105 days. Let's say you get a job within, let's say, 3 months. Okay? And then you keep that job for 12 months or longer. Then you will get early re-employment benefit. They will give you money. Okay? Get it? So the idea here is to encourage people to get the job as soon as possible. Okay? Obviously, the expenditure of unemployment insurance benefit will depend on how long these people are on the unemployment insurance beneficiary role. Okay, so they give you financial incentive to people to get the job as soon as possible and get out of this beneficiary role quickly. Okay. So you have to keep the job for at least 12 months. Okay, self-employed people actually can be opt-in this. So most of the insured people in Korea are employees, but there are some self-employed. There's a relatively quite a small number of self-employed people. So they may, within a year from starting the business, they may choose to pay premium and be covered by employment insurance. Okay? So they can opt in. So then more than a year and they close the business due to unforeseen circumstances can receive unemployment benefit. Not that large. Actually, it's quite a small number. Quite small. I mean, it's like hundreds of thousands. We are talking about like 10 million people in the unemployment insurance system. So 100,000 is a very small number. Those people, self-employed people, are in the system. So let's say they may lose their lose the business because of, let's say, natural disaster. Okay. Flooding happened, so they cannot, operate their business. So they can actually claim the benefit. Okay. The interesting thing is that the system, what works is that they choose how much they want to get when they are unemployed, and then they pay the premium. Okay. So for the employees, it depends on how much you earn, right? For the self-employed, it's very difficult to know that how much this person is actually earning. So the system works is that they can actually choose the amount themselves. And then depending on their amount, the chosen amount, they pay out the benefit. Okay, in 2014, when you see the numbers, 975,000 people filed new claims for unemployment insurance benefit, and almost everyone got the qualified. 971. It's very high actually. It's very, very high. There was lots of discussion about it. It's too high. It's like our unemployment insurance office doesn't have much strong incentive to deny it. Actually, if you're a person handling this unemployment insurance claim, when you deny it, by denying it, you don't get any incentives. Okay, they don't give you extra money. Wow, you denied it, so you saved the money. Actually, but by denying it, they can actually cause headaches, right? So the people will complain and all stuff. So lots of people, and obviously there is a strong incentive to just accept it. Okay, not to cause any trouble in these people. So I think that may be the case. Oh, and I should go to the meeting and say that we should create an incentive to people who deny the benefit. Okay, that probably not going to happen. Anyway, So that's it. And then how many people got the money? 1.25 million people in 2015. And including 0.94 million new beneficiaries received a benefit total of about 4 trillion won in total. The average duration of benefit is 118 days. Now, what is interesting statistics is most of the beneficiaries in Korea receive the benefit for the maximum duration. Okay? So I showed you maximum duration. Most of the people goes to the maximum. They don't get a job before it expires. Okay? So 8 out of 10 wait until the benefit expires. What does it mean? It may mean a few things, right? It may mean that our expiration is probably too soon, possible. Okay? There's no enough time for them to get a job. That's one way of thinking about it. The other one is probably that our unemployment insurance does not check seriously the qualifications. Okay, how hard they are trying to get a job, they just pass everything. And then so they just, it's so easy, just wait until the maximum duration and get the benefit. And some people may just get a job and just still claim the benefit. Okay, that's possible. So there may be some issues, but there is this is an interesting statistic that the most of people just get the benefit until it expires. Why? I mean, we should look at it from various perspectives. Okay. Okay, how long I have? Okay, so total UI benefits and number of employees. Beneficiaries, total beneficiaries will now it's I said it's close to more than 1 million. It obviously depends on the business cycle. Okay, when the business cycle is bad, the numbers go up. So 98, 99, it went up and it dropped. Okay, and then the number is relatively small because the coverage was not that big. But now the cover is big, and then now there's a spike, obviously, in 2009. Okay, just after the global economic crisis, more people got unemployed, and then so the number just went up. Okay, and then dropped a bit. Now it's increasing again. I think we should stop here today, and then we'll continue tomorrow.